Hey everyone, just wanted to pop in for a quick second to let you know that I'm gonna try to intro this video in Korean. I didn't really want to just because it's weird, but I figured how am I gonna talk about learning Korean without showing you that I know Korean, so I figured it just for a quick second. Let's do it. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 저는 루크입니다. 오늘 한국어 배우는 것에 대해서 얘기할 거예요. 2014년 9월부터 대학교에서 한국어를 배우기가 시작했어요. 그런데 제 한국어는 조금 어색하고 별로 안 좋아서 지금부터 영어로 말할게요. It sounds like I just winged that, but I probably did it 10 times before I felt okay with it. I don't even know if it made sense. Who knows? Anyways, today I'm going to be talking to you guys about learning Korean in a university or post-secondary setting because I've seen many videos about self-teaching or just learning Korean through online teaching. I don't know, something along those lines, but I've never exactly seen a video where someone talks about their classroom experiences. So since I've been doing that for about a year and a half now, I thought I would try to share my experience with you guys in the hopes that it can help you decide if you should self-teach Korean or if you should do it in a classroom. I don't think there's really a right answer, though I think the best possible option is to learn it in a natural setting because my Korean is very, I think, formal and polite. But enough about me. I'm sure you clicked on this video to enlighten yourself about learning Korean. And I mean, I can't say you've come to the right place, but I'm gonna do my best to help you figure that out. So I'm going to quickly go over some of the general aspects of learning Korean in a classroom setting, though I can't guarantee that it's going to be the same for everyone. I've talked to other people who have done this, and their experiences were quite different from mine, but you know, you never really know until you try, is basically what I'm going to tell you. My experience overall has been pretty good. I've learned a lot. It's gotten quite hard as I'm at the 300 level right now, so it's not as fun as it was when I started out, but I would definitely recommend the 101, 102 level. It's really fun. I remember being worried when I joined the class that I would be the only person who didn't already have some basic knowledge in Korean, or maybe that a lot of the people would be Korean Canadian and just didn't know Korean and wanted to learn it for, you know, family reasons. So I kind of thought I was going to be the underdog in that situation, but I ended up feeling very welcome and just somewhat at ease. It's definitely awkward at first to start learning these this alphabet, the different sounds, but essentially it wasn't as different as you would imagine it as any other language class. It's just, I guess they evaluate a lot more than I thought they would. Because it was my first time learning a language from zero, from scratch, I didn't really think that they would expect things like oral presentations or skits from you or memorization like that, but they did, and it ended up being alright. It's not as scary as you think. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit too much now. I'm gonna go into the specifics and tell you guys how we're tested, how we learn things, you know, all of that stuff. And if you come up with any questions throughout the video, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and hopefully I'll do like a follow-up part where I can answer some of your questions and concerns. So of course we started off by learning the Korean alphabet, Hangul, and so you learn the consonants, the vowels, and you're just kind of expected to memorize them on your own once the teacher has presented them to you and gone through them with you. I was actually really scared about that, but it ends up coming quite naturally once you progress into a couple of lessons, so don't worry too much about that. You might have difficulty pronouncing some of the sounds at first, but the teachers don't really hold it against you. They know that everyone comes from different backgrounds, different languages, so don't feel too scared. The teacher doesn't actually like evaluate you on how well you can speak. It's more just like if you're trying and you have the technical stuff right, then you're pretty much gonna be okay. So I did go through a few different teachers and they had kind of different ways of teaching, but overall the way that it worked is that there would be lecture notes posted online and you would just have to print them and follow along with the lessons. So sometimes the teachers had PowerPoints. Actually, I think all the teachers used PowerPoints, and you just would follow along with the lecture notes. You would fill in the blanks. You have these kind of like tables and fill in the blank type of things where we would have to just follow along with the PowerPoint and the teacher would explain them. And for sure at the beginning they really expect you to repeat things back to them. So when the teacher was first teaching us things like, I don't know, they'd say like 학교, which is school. So they'd be like, this word is 학교, and you'd be like 학교. Except it'd be 30 people repeating it back to you, which I have to admit was probably one of the awkwardest things at first, just speaking out loud around other people, but you really just gradually get over that and you know that everyone's in the same boat as you. So really just, you don't have to yell it. It's just a good way for you to practice and to make sure that you're on the right track for the teacher to know if everyone's, you know, following along. I think it does help. It really does help to speak it out loud. I've actually found myself now that I talk or think out loud in Korean just because I'm so used to having to vocalize it in order to grasp it, if that makes sense. Oh, am I sweating? That's just the shadow. So I would definitely say don't be afraid to become comfortable. The teacher sees you participating and just trying to, even if you're shy. I have heard people from other schools say that, you know, it was just kind of the teacher talking to them, regurgitating information and them just writing it down and trying to take it in. One of the other really cool parts about the classes I've taken is that there were teacher's assistants in all of them, and they were all visiting students or exchange students straight from Korea, so it was really cool to meet other people and become friends with people from a different culture. They get to learn things from you, you get to learn things from them. I made a lot of friends like that I think I'll stay in touch with for a really long time and probably meet up with someday. So I thought that was really rewarding, and they're also able to kind of relate to you a little bit more than the teacher. Sometimes they know slang a little bit better in English too, so hopefully if you do take classes you'll have cool TAs to work with. Other than listening and following along in the lectures, there would be sections of the classes where we would have group discussions. So you'd be paired off into groups of like 3, 4, 5 people, and you'd each have a TA leading a discussion with you guys or doing things kind of one-on-one. There was definitely a lot more group work and interaction in my earlier classes, but I think that may have just been because of the difference in teachers. As for how we were evaluated, there were quite a few different ways. There were almost weekly quizzes on vocabulary, and then of course there's like midterm and exams, oral presentations, interviews. And I have to say the interviews were the most scary parts for me, because you're expected to memorize a set of questions and answers to those questions, and then you go through a one-on-one interview with the teacher where she'll be like, 오늘 어떻게 학교에 왔어요? Something like that, which is like, how did you come to school today? And then you have to be like, 버스를 탔어요. Which sounds really easy. So in 101 it was really straightforward like that, and eventually it turned into group interviews where you would interview other students in front of the teacher. And then now we don't really do it anymore. Another way we were evaluated at the beginning as well was through journals. We still do journal entries now as well. So basically you would type up about a paragraph or a page fully in Korean on a given topic, but the difference was earlier on we would have to also record ourselves reading our journal and then submit the audio online to the teacher so that they would be able to catch mistakes that we were making and give us advice on how to better pronounce things. So there's a lot of like interactive things like that. There's a lot of back and forth like that for the teacher to try and I guess improve your skills. I don't have very many good tips to give you other than write, because that's how I really memorized a lot. For those weekly quizzes, actually I have an example for you here. It's a little more complex than what we had in the 100 level, but at the 100 level it was essentially just the teacher would say a Korean word out loud and you had to write it in Korean, straight up, like it would be 고양이, and you would just write 고양이 in Korean, which is cat. I think eventually they started asking us to write the English meaning as well, so you'd have to write 고양이, cat, or 집, house. My pronunciation. Eventually they started getting more complicated like this, where they would ask you to start making sentences with the new words and then also writing down the whole meaning of the sentence in English, so you'd have to remember things from beforehand. I would definitely recommend that you try to do your best to also retain things from previous classes. I'm very much used to, after I finish a class, to just ejecting all of the crap that I learned and moving on to the next class, assuming that we don't have to retain the last stuff, which is not a good habit at all. So yes, when you are going to be quizzed on something, I would definitely recommend you write down. I start out... Speaking of the quizzes, I forgot to mention the textbooks. These ones are the textbooks with the information that we would use. If you really want specific information about them, I can replied to your comment. I don't know. I hope I don't get sued for some weird copyright of a book issue. But you would get a page of vocabulary like this. You'd get 2 of them to memorize for each quiz. So I think you're memorizing at this point about like 40 words per 2 weeks or something like that. It's not terrible, it's manageable. You just make sure at least the night before you spend a good hour memorizing those words. Don't just do it orally. I would really recommend that you write down. So you write down Korean and English meanings first, and then I would go back and cover the English meaning. So I'd still copy down the Korean meaning and then try to remember the English meaning. And then I do the reverse. I don't know if that made sense. I'm just a little scared my camera is going to die while I'm trying to finish this video. And then paired with each textbook comes a workbook, so you have examples to do. We actually generally do this in class more than at home. I don't know if you can even see. We would generally do these more in class than at home, but occasionally the teacher would assign a few pages for homework, though I would say that that was more at the beginning. We're supposed to do more journals now. We're given more handouts for like listening exercises and written exercises, so it varies a little bit more now. As you can see, there's some that's filled out, and there's others that are just not done at all. And that's not just because I don't do my homework, it's because they're not assigned as often. So I believe that's everything that I had to tell you guys about my experiences with learning Korean in a classroom setting. I hope it was insightful for you in some way, shape, or form. And if you have any questions, like I said earlier, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I can either answer it by replying to you there, or I can do a follow-up video answering some of your questions, kind of like a Q&A, specifically about learning Korean, but I don't really know how curious you guys are on this topic. I just know that last year a lot of you guys were asking me about it during live chats, and I kept promising that I was going to do a video. Lo and behold, that did not happen, but I am here doing it. And if you're Korean and you want to do a student exchange to a foreign university, I would definitely recommend looking into Korean classes that might be offered there, because you might be able to be a TA and make new friends from tons of different places, and I think it's a rewarding experience for both the students and the TAs. But you probably won't get paid for it, but you'll get paid with love. I had also been planning to kind of go through why I'm learning Korean, and I realized that that is for many different reasons, and that I might save that for another video, so let me know if you want to see that as well. And also, if you're learning Korean, tell me about your experiences. I'm really curious about that stuff. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that video and found it useful. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time for more. Bye. Oh, stay awkward. Bye.